Welcome everyone, thank you for joining me today. So today I'm going to share with you the Sunflower Embossing Folder in a new way and show you how to color with it. Last week I showed some monochromatic ways of using it, and today we are going to do some coloring with both Stampin Blends and also with Daubers. So this is the Sunflower Embossing Folder. It is a very large embossing folder. I used it last week. Today we're going to look at colouring with both Blends and Daubers. Obviously 2 different cards in 2 different ways. So let's get started. So when you are using this, last week I had 2 small pieces in here, but today I've pre-done this. I've actually embossed 1 big piece. With the embossing folder I have done it in 1 piece. The reason being, if I cut it and put it in, when I emboss it, might kind of stretch it either width or lengthwise. So by doing this, I can cut it to the size that I want. So this is the emboss side. So if you look at the embossing folder, here is the logo. If I put it in, well, obviously just a sheet of cardstock, when it comes out, this top size is the embossed because it is raised. If I turn it over, this is the debossed side, and this is what we are going to use today, the debossed side. And we are going to colour in the debossed bits, firstly with Blends and then with our Daubers. Now, it takes a bit longer to do it with the Blends, so what I've done is I've started one, and then I'm just going to finish it just so it doesn't take too long. And then yeah, just to save time. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to see where you're doing. So sometimes you might just have to check the other side. You'll see the Blends come through, but that's fine. So I'm going to colour in this leaf here. So what, oops, that's not very good. That's come off. Let's try again. Where is my green? So I've tended to use the dark sides. Here we go. And I've tended to go around the edge. I try to go around the edge. And you could use the don't see lines. And then I'm going to come back in and go darker where the sort of veins of the leaf are. So it's going to take a little while. You can see why I, did some earlier, but it is quite striking when you see it all finished. And it might depend on what you've got, whether you've got Daubers or whether you've got Blends of what you use, or if you're fortunate to have both, you can try both. All right. Now, there might be some white bits that you miss, but that's okay. We can touch up later. So I'm going over the sort of darker bits where it is in the embossing. So can you kind of see that? That's now a bit darker. Even though I've used 1 colour, I see I've missed a bit around the edge. We've probably missed a few bits, but we'll touch it up. Then I'm going to come in. I'm using a Daffodil Delight, and I'll use the thinner end just because I've got a bit more control. And I'm going to colour in as well. So this one I'm going to do more lines just because of the shape of the sunflower as well. If you go slightly onto the raised bits, I can't quite see where it is. Oh, yep. It's okay because it will be covered up without ink. All right, now I didn't want you to sit here forever and watch me colour, so that's why I did quite a bit before. Even this is going to take a little bit of time. So let me know, do you like to colour with Blends? Do you prefer other colour mediums like watercolour pencils, or maybe like you'll see soon we'll do some Daubers? Let me know what you like. And I'm going to come back in shortly with a bit more shading on some of the sunflower as well. Often we'll use light and dark, but like I say, the light didn't kind of show through enough. All right, I am moving fairly quickly just so you don't have to watch me colour forever. So it may not be exact. All right, so now what I'm going to come in is there's sort of these lines where I missed a bit, just to give a bit of dimension to our kind of sunflower. And then the fun part. All right, we'll see where I've missed. Now I'm thinking I might actually cut this now so that it's more to size. So we do need to be careful cutting it because it is raised. And my white piece is 10, so this is going to be 9.7. I don't want that there. So have a nice sharp blade, and then I'm going to cut it at 14. Now you don't want to cut it when it's right near the edge because it will pull or rip, or a guillotine is quite good. All right, so there we go. Oh, I haven't done the center. So I'm using pecan pie for that. So I'll show you what I did, and then you can see what we're working towards. So that is my sample one. For this one, actually what I'll do is I'll go around the edge, and then for the sake of time, I'll use my thicker, whoops, that's not very good, thicker tipped piece. Okay, so you do have to be patient with this, but the results are quite good. Now when I color it, you'll think, oh my goodness, actually if I just used the dark, I did, and I think on my sample I used the light. Let's see what happens if we will come in with some light. Let's just see, we might have a bit of shading. I think the lighter is better. All right, that's okay. It looks a little bit, you know, just too much of the same, but the other ink will come over the top. All right, let's see how it looks. So if you saw last week, we did that big swiping technique. So that's what we're going to do now. So I see that depending on the day of what Linda uses, Patricia likes to use the blends. So I'm using early espresso because I wanted quite a dark, bold color. And now these raised bits, I'm going to try and swipe and color in. Now, it might go into some of the grooves of the flower too. That's okay. Now you'll see all my white bits, but we can touch that up. So you'll see I've missed quite a bit. So that's all right. So try and get that. Isn't that quite striking? So now you can definitely see the bits that I've missed. Want to try and, oops, sort of want to keep it in the same direction. But isn't that cool? All right, so now I'm going to touch up all the sort of white bits that were hard to see and finish it off. I mean, if there's a little bit, that's okay. But we don't want it to be too obvious. Any more yellow? There's a few green ones that I've missed. Oh, look, we've missed down here. Quite a few green ones, sort of just on the edges sometimes. Right, and one down there. Okay, let's come in with our green. And so this is Old Olive. So I have used Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, and Pecan Pie. Okay, so they're the blend colors I have used. I think I should have probably done a bit more green there, but anyway. How is that? Who has used the Sunflower Embossing Folder? All right, I think I need to come in with a bit more yellow. I might even just touch it up a bit more later once I've put it together, just so you guys don't sit watching me color forever. And now, see, you've got that contrast with the early espresso kind of over the petals as well. How's my hands? All right, isn't that pretty? Then I'm going to put it on a slightly larger white piece. Let's hope that fits. Yay, good. And then we're going to put some ribbon on it. So I'm doing a similar layout to what I did last time. Now you can put glue on like that, or, although it won't be very easy to see on white on white, if you find it hard to control and it comes out too thick, do dots, not too big a dots. And then it hopefully won't ooze out. Oh, actually, we should do ribbon first. So that was clever. I was too keen to show you the technique of the glue. I think I may have showed it last week or a couple of weeks ago. So that's going to go across the front. So let's pop that on before we glue it down. And I'll need a little bit of tape to hold it in place, which is where's my tape? I did bring it in. Here it is. So, and hopefully the glue won't dry too much in the meantime. All right, so I'm going to put that there, stick it down, pull it on the other side, hold it nice and tight. Now I can put it down. Oops, it twisted. That's not good. Okay, we'll check that. We'll untwist it. Untwist it that way. And we'll try again. At least we checked. Oops, now it's come off. That's all right. Stick it down. Okay. Isn't that pretty? Is that tight enough? Yep. Cool. And where's my sample gone? Here. So what I've done is I have, what have I done? So I've tied another piece in, and then I've done a little sentiment. This is the Labeled with Love punch, and I'm using Thanks from the Simply Said, and I'm going to stamp it in Early Espresso, which I just had. Here it is. And I might actually fit here because I'm not going to use the whole punch. I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stamp close to one edge, like so. Does that look straight? Whoops. I need to hold. Let's try it again. Let's hold that side. Okay, we'll do it a bit closer to there. And down a bit more. There we go. I think that's good. And then I'm going to tack it through and stamp on the other, or punch on the other side, and it makes it smaller. Now I felt, and it's up to you, I felt that was very white and quite striking and a bit too sort of bold. So I got some pecan pie ink and a blending brush and just toned it down a little bit. Start off and just sponged it so it was not quite so white. Does that make sense? Okay. Then I put that on with dimensionals, mini dimensionals, or in this case I'm using the edging of my standard dimensionals. Use all the bits out. I'm going to put a couple at the top, not sticking to me, and a couple at the bottom, just so it's either side of the ribbon. And I sort of want to kind of see that flower still. And then I'm going to get another piece of ribbon and tie it through. They are my ribbon scissors, yes. Hopefully I've made this long enough. And then to finish it off, we will add some embellishments. So I quite like this gold. I will include all the supplies afterwards. I had it all prepared there before I started, but because I had to restart, all the information is gone. So I will add that after the live. I'm just going to come a bit closer. Okay, how's that? So my embellishments. So you could use something like these. I think these are called the natural matte dots. Or I've got, because we've got quite a dark colour, I've got these adhesive back textured dots. And you could put them on the card, like around here, but you might not see them so much. So I've put them on my tag. And I'm trying to find my take your pick tool, but I can't, so I'm just going to use my fingers. So I'm going to do one big there. Whoops, a bit too high. So use whatever embellishments you've got. A little one, so a bit lower, and another little one down here. Okay, so there we go. So that is using the blends. So I use Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, and Pecan Pie, and then punched with the label with punch. Right, I'm assuming you can still hear me okay. Excellent. Now for my second card, it's this one here. Very similar, but it's a slightly lighter colour, although I did use crushed curry for that. So I have got Daffodil Delight, so I might just try it with this one. So I'm going to put that down and we'll do some Daubers. So you'll see this is a little bit quicker with a Dauber. I'm going to do the green first because that's kind of an isolated area. So let's put that away. So we'll start off with Old Olive. And so I'm using these Daubers. They come in a pack. And then, you know, I'll keep them for certain colours. So this is my green one. If I go over slightly here, it doesn't matter too much because it's the edge. But where it's yellow, it does kind of matter. So you can probably appreciate the colour is not quite as solid. So I'm having to look where the leaves are so I can sponge them in the right colours. I could probably touch up if I need to. I think that's the leaf there, leaf there, leaf there. Any more leaves? Can you see? Oh, there's one here. Okay. It's a little bit harder to see when it's the deboss because the sort of picture is. So I have to kind of double check. I think that's about it. Then I'm going to come in with my yellow. So we're going to try Daffodil Delight. Last time I used crushed curry. So I'm just going to take off some of that colour. Okay, let's try Daffodil Delight. So let's see if it comes out a bit brighter than the one I did before. So I'm doing kind of the leaf area, not leaf, petal area. So this is quicker, obviously, than colouring. And again, we can touch up later if we need to. But it's a great way of colouring our sunflower. Now remember, this is the debossed side. Okay, and let's just do this bit up here. And this flower down here. I'm going to do the middle bit in a slightly different colour. What am I doing? And I need to come in here. Right, let's see if we've missed any. Much quicker. All right, then I've come in with the center. So this is my example, and we're going to come in with a bit of pecan pie for the center. And it will be brought out again with that early espresso. So your design will depend on which side of the embossing folder part you chose and cut out. Right, I've kind of gone over the edges, but hopefully that will get sort of covered by the ink. All right, here we go again. I'm going to close these up and let's see how it looks with our early espresso. All right, swiping time again. Here we go. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to come this way. So obviously you can do it lots, make it dark. I'm just trying to get into these bits in here, trying to sort of go in one direction. Oh, that's better, full in that bit. So you can see again a few white patches. You can see a little bit of a line there. So I'm going to go this way to try and sort of make it matching. So I can come back in and touch up a little bit, but a little bit of white's fine too. It's hard to see until, you know, it all comes together. All right, how is that? So just if there's any obvious ones I've missed. And you're going to get a little bit of the brown over the petals, but that's all part of the effect, even the green. Isn't that cool? So let me show you. So this is what we just made with the blends, and that's with the Daubers. Patricia likes the Daubers. Yeah, there's a huge difference when you swipe it. It doesn't look very exciting without that, but once you've swiped, it looks amazing. Okay, so same thing as before. I'm going to mount it on white. I did try like a green or something behind, but for me, it didn't quite work. You might be able to find the right color. Let's see if we can do it right with our ribbon this time. I am just doing the same layout, keep it consistent. You could get, oh, my hands are a bit inky. You could get a piece of early espresso and white embossing powder and emboss a sentiment on it. But I wanted to show you a fairly quick and easy way to make it just with your stamps and punches and things without needing to get out the embossing powder, which, you know, I love to use, but just for a quick, easy card. Right, this time we are remembering our ribbon. So we're going to put it on. Now let's get our card up the right way. I mean, there is a lot of ink on there, so it will come off a bit, so it's good to let it dry. Which way? Ooh, that way, because of that flower, I think. Is it that way? That way. What did I do on my other card? I'm not sure now. No, I did it that way. Yes, we're going to kind of go, yeah, that way. All right. Some tape. They both look amazing. Yeah, they do. And either or are quite stunning. So depending on what you have, if you got blends, go for it. If you don't, go for the Daubers. Or you could even try, you know, watercolor pencils. It may not be quite as bold, but there's all sorts of different ways that you could color. But do it on the debossed side. All right. So like so, let's do that dotting thing again. Just to spread it out. There we go. You just don't want too much glue. That's the main thing. Okay. So back to our sentiment again. This time I'm just going to do it more on the center. Same. I'm just going to keep doing thanks. Do it in the center. And my punch. I'll put it behind me. Hopefully it's easier to hold this time. So we will go like so. Good thing with a punch is if it's wonky, you can just straighten it up with your punching it out. Tuck it in. So I want to go this side now. Whoops, let's have a look. Wonderful. And what do you think? Leave it white or sponge it? Let me know what you think. While you reply, I will tie another piece onto it. Where is the, oh, the twine's right here. I'm going to tuck it under. I love this gold. It's kind of sort of a delicate, meshy kind of gold ribbon. All right, love them both. What do we reckon? What I might do is I might leave this one as the white so you can kind of see it as a comparison. And then, you know, later on I can ask on my Facebook page and things what people like. Do you like the white? Do you like the sponged? We could always change it up later. So I'm going to put a little bit. These are my edging of my dimensionals and put that on like so. And then you could, if you had any leftover strips or something, you could always would put a white piece on the inside. And this is going to be too wide, so let me have a look. What I could do is if I cut it down to the size I want, and then so how much would I have? It's not a lot, but if that's coloured, then I could have that thin bit as a strip in my card too. But it'll be easier to colour when it's all together rather than a thin bit later on. But just an idea. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got. And I've got another colour combination too. It's a pecan pie one, which is what I did first, but then I wanted a darker colour. So let me show you that. So that's the pecan pie. So it's definitely a softer brown, slightly different look. Then we have got our blends. So that's colouring it with blends. And then we've got our Daubers. So this one was Daffodil Delight. That was Crushed Curry. So just, you know, slightly different. How about that? Lots of different ones. So sponge, everyone says sponge it. Okay, I'm going to leave it now just as an example, and I'll take a photo like that, and I can still sponge it later, but I think it looks better sponged too. For me personally, I just like that kind of softer look. It's, yeah, quite stark like that, but good to know. Awesome. All right, so that's the sunflower embossing folder. It is a large embossing folder. So like I say, you can emboss it. You get a nice big piece like this, and you can, you know, then cut it in half. If you missed what I did last week, I'll quickly show you. And you can watch last week's video. So we did, so that is inking on the emboss side, and that was on white, and that was on fresh freesia. Try and keep my camera straight. I think I knocked it. This is a black and white one, and that's inked on the debossed side like we did today. This is using two-tone cardstock, and I have used this sandpaper on the embossed side to have that white showing through. And then the last one is the Secret C, and going over it with our white craft ink on the embossed, no, on the, yes, on the emboss on the raised side, and then that brings out that color. So they are more monochromatic, sort of one toning. So that's your fresh freesia, that's your black and white, that's your darling duckling, and then we've got our Secret C. Cool. And then today's, let's put those there and compare today's ones. So with your, you know, colors, so that is sponged and then blends and then a different card base. So lots of possibilities. So I hope you enjoyed that. Trisha likes a pecan pie, or others like the pecan pie too. Yeah, just a slightly different look. So you can have a play with all sorts of things. It might be interesting to do it like with black or grey over it as well. That could be interesting. So all sorts of possibilities with that. So I just want to let you know about a promotion for September, not September, that's next month, for August. So in August, we have the in colour promotion, so 15% off a lot, but yeah, selected in colour products. So if you have had your eye on some in colour products, 15% off. Those of you in my in colour club, I've sent out information about this month's in colour club and then what will happen next month. So have a look out for that. And yeah, if you're interested in getting any in colour products or something like the sunflower embossing folder, that has been popular. I think it's low inventory, so get it onto it soon if you're keen. And let us come back here. So any questions? Are we all good? Let me check. All right. Yes, as Karen said, there's different options out there. Yeah, all sorts of possibilities. And of course, I've used the sunflower embossing folder. Depending on what folders you've got, you might have one with flowers. You could try the same thing, you know, color with blends or color with Daubers. It obviously depends on the pattern. Some things will work with this, some won't. But I think it looks very stunning with the sunflower embossing folder. So if you like it, you're keen on it, then check it out. So thank you for your patience today. I'm glad to see, well, from my side, it looks like it is both on Facebook and YouTube. Well, I'm getting comments from both, so at least that worked today. Sound, I'm not sure exactly what happened. I just had to keep sort of unmuting a couple of times, and then it came right, even though, you know, I check these things before I set up, and then there's always challenges. But I'm glad that it got to work in the end. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next week. If you're not a my newsletter, please sign up and you'll get more information and inspiration. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you subscribe, then you should get the notification next time I get a video, I share a video with you. All right, thank you. Please reach out to me if I can help in any way, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, thanks and bye.